Hey guys, Callum here and welcome back to the channel, and today we are watching parts 3 and 4 of Planet of Fire. Last time was parts 1 and 2. We are on a weird planet with a bunch of people with this weird kind of religion, and the Doctor and his companion and Perry and Chameleon, which turned out to be the Master being who is now taking control of Chameleon, are on this planet. And there's a bunch of people that have this sort of religion, and the Master has now become their god in a sense. And there are people about to be burnt, and the Doctor is a bit worried that they might be burnt. Yeah, so I felt that I thought it was okay. Parts 1 and 2. I think there is a lot of questions to be asked. Well, is it really? Because I think with the story, is that it is I guess we're learning more about the people. I guess that's really what it's going to be, and then overthrowing the Master. I guess that's really what this story is going to be at this point. Got to say though, locations in this entire story have been fantastic, beautiful locations, like they said within the episode itself. If you have actually noticed that I've actually got a new camera now, because it might be a little bit less quality, because the camera that I had, which you could see, no, you can't see that, just over there, don't know if you can actually see that, but I'm now, I guess in a sense, upgraded to a new camera. It's a camcorder, so I can just react to videos and shows and stuff like that without having to re-record stuff, because that camera only does about half an hour, because it's actually a photography camera. Camcorder just lets me record for as long as I want without having to worry. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into parts 3 and 4, specifically right now 3 of Planet of Fire. Right, I think what this story needs to do for me to think it's a really, really great episode is the conflict between the Master and the Doctor. If that's really good, and I enjoy the dialogue and the execution of that, then I think this actually could be a good story. So let's see how it goes.
Continue the sacrifices! See that this Doctor burns slowly.
What's going to happen? Oh, Turlo and Perry and Malcolm are here. Going to save the day. I kind of thought that Malcolm would stop it. Well, you want to put a bit more of a fight in there, Doctor, or no?
Stop! There is to be no sacrifice.
Good on you, Malcolm.
He doesn't recognize your chosen one, and he doesn't understand the laws of the settlement.
Malcolm is overruled. Continue the burning.
Alright. Did they just kill him?
Never mind the boy.
But Malcolm's dead. I mean, it's not that I really cared about Malcolm as a character, because I don't think he got as much development as I hoped he would, but it is the impact of he was the leader in a sense, and he's just been killed off.
The more you attack it, the more it looks like the outsider.
I must concentrate.
I must make contact.
That's right, Chameleon. Servile.
They're taking him very slowly.
Bond broken.
I can help him. I know how
She's
to
like,
do that too.
the thing I'm noticing is that Perry's very accepting of everything that's happening. I get that she's on another planet, but she's very accepting of everything, considering this is her first ever story. Nice try, Doctor, you bitch.
Over the years, I've dreamed of a million exquisite tortures to accompany your final moments. That it should come to this.
No!
Perry, get back.
Perry, get back.
Buried. You will be cremated. Alive.
Ha ha ha.
No! Doctor!
He's locked up.
And get this gate open, will you?
Another surge could come at any moment.
I don't think so. I've been back to the bunker, rerouted the flow. Where's Malcolm?
Yeah.
No. He's still breathing.
Oh.
Who did this?
One of the elders.
Oh, he's still alive.
I think Malcolm is my brother.
And people say that New Who is so soap opera.
That rubble lies an object of
Granted,
incomparable value.
it can be bad soap opera, I get that,
Gift
but
from Logar.
that is such a soap opera element. I think he's my brother.
You have to be very special to wear the Resource stripe.
Where are the promised gifts?
They're inside.
Don't let him go!
Gullible idiot.
That's pretty funny.
No.
What have you got in
Huh.
this?
That's no concern of yours.
I like Josie helping out.
Perhaps you doubt the efficacy of this device. Allow me to introduce the tissue compression eliminator.
What does the Eliminator do then, Master?
The same will happen to you, my dear, if you obstruct me.
You'll make us smaller.
There's something.
You see, he appears at the Doctor's command.
Why doesn't he strike down the heretics?
Logar is the friend of all people, whether they believe in him or not. He is only angry when the citizens fight amongst themselves.
Spoke to me, encouraged me to inhale the gases. I felt intoxicated, invigorated. I felt reborn.
You were drunk.
When I returned from the mountain, my body and my mind felt stronger and fitter.
Again, I really do like that actor.
Interesting. According to
I
this,
think in
the
those kind of
Mark and Perry
moments,
are inside the volcano.
he's actually a pretty darn good actor.
That cave's part of a colonial civilization that ended ages ago.
The control center's been maintained. Just what sort of interest have your people got in the stability of an abandoned planet?
I don't know.
All right. But if you're holding back anything that will aid the Master, our friendship is at an end. Is that understood?
Yes, Doctor.
If you got something to say, then you need to say it. There's a reason why his father came here.
Well, you're getting no more power!
You are so easily pushed, Master. It's not even funny. Okay, maybe it's a little bit funny. Do you really not have a key to your own
Master's
TARDIS,
control
Master?
box. They have a puny mind, but you don't need to be Albert Einstein to find the off switch.
Good point. Just rip all the cables out.
You escaped from my slave, but you will obey me or die.
Ah, that reveal is priceless. And that was part 3. I'm not sure how to feel about that one because I think there were a couple good moments. I think it kind of was what I was expecting. So it's revealed that the Master wants this power within the volcano. It's this blue flame of immense power that he obviously wants to possess because he is the Master, he wants power. And Tono is, he's definitely hiding something from the Doctor. Something about his father and the reason why he came here. That separated him and Malcolm. And Malcolm's apparently still alive. And the Master is in a miniature box. I don't know why that's so funny to me. That is bloody hilarious. That is so funny. He's just in a little box and he's got a little Master in there who's doing the controls. That was funny. But on a serious note, I think that was fine. I didn't think that was anything extravagant or mind-blowing or anything. I think it is just an okay part in a very okay story. Like I said, I wish we had more of the Master and the Doctor. But I think the problem with this Master is that he is very camp. And it maybe too camp. Because, like, for example, with John Sim, he can be camp, but he can have those moments with David Tennant. Like in Dent of Time, when they talk about Gallifrey. Or just any point in Series 3, whenever they talk to each other about Gallifrey or anything like that, you feel that connection there. You feel the history there. With this, I don't feel the history. I don't feel the connection with the Master and the Doctor. And I think that's what I have the problem with this incarnation of the Master. It's just a bit too twirly mustache for me. I think that's the biggest problem that I have with this Master. Entertaining, yes, but from a narrative perspective and wanting to really care about these characters, it definitely feels as if it's just too camp for its own good. I think that's the biggest problem I have. But it's not a bad story. It's just a story with potential that has not hit it. I think this story so far has a lot of potential, and so far it hasn't hit. It's got one more part to really end on a high. I don't think it will. I just have a feeling that it won't. But I could be wrong, and I hope I am wrong, because while this story hasn't been boring, it just hasn't engaged me fully. I think that's the biggest problem I have with this story. And that could be just me. It could be the lack of me wanting the Master and the Doctor to have conversations with each other and have dialogues and scenes together that really get me connected with those two characters. Because I think Peter Davison's Doctor is good, but I don't feel like he's ever engaged me fully. Even in Earthshock, I wasn't fully engaged in his character. But let's hope that this last part can do him justice. Time for part 4. The finale of 5. No, it's Planet of Fire, not 5 Planet, because that won't make any sense. Oh my god.
You escaped from my slave, but you will obey me or die.
That is fantastic. Oh my god.
There is healing power under the volcanic gases. Could be why the Trans constructed the Hall of Fire.
Oh, the tonal shift isn't great, but that's still pretty funny.
Look.
What are you waiting for?
Where'd you go, Mini Master? Oh my god, you swallowed the shoe.
There you are.
Ah, you're sneezing. Wait, is there no reason for that you sneezing, or?
Logar demands it.
Yes, of course, chosen one.
Who's there?
Harry, you do realise the Master couldn't have opened the door, right? This is so out of tone from the rest of the story, and even this part. This is so silly. Like, on a serious note, this mini Master thing is totally out of tone for the rest of the story. I get that the Master's been a bit of a joke sometimes in this story, but this is a bit on another level. Well, Perry has no idea where she is, so how is she going to get back to the TARDIS and that? Alright, let's send that signal out. Get a message
Somewhere over here. Must hurry.
Because I'm assuming this is like found footage from the explosions, but they do well to get ones that match the locations, so it doesn't feel so jarring. So it's good from them. Again, I think the music is very good in this episode. Oh, right next to each other. That's easy, huh?
What are you doing now?
Trying to slow down the eruption. The Master's interference has caused the seismic machinery to become unstable. If I can override the automatic control, I can delay the worst of it.
Can't you stop it?
I doubt it.
Will it fit your machine?
Oh, yes.
Revive! Revive, chameleon!
How does it feel to get a taste of your own medicine?
My name's Doctor. I was building a new and more deadly version.
Ah, he hit it on
You made it
himself.
too powerful for your own good.
Yep, I knew it. He made himself
And a
mini,
very
and now
small
he needs the
master.
power to restore himself.
That's why you needed Chameleon, isn't it?
All is
should
prepared
probably
for
just
my
grab him,
supreme
guys.
renewal.
Kill him, Doctor.
Get away from the box.
Ah, two masters.
Don't need...
We're trapped!
Oh no.
No, we're not. I'm Jan.
Ah, luckily
Your
he
turn
only
to play
did
low
2 of
guard.
those instead of all 3.
We'll push this control here hard to its end stop, all right? Now, get down behind the desk.
Master, do you really think they're not going to do anything?
Get away from the controls.
No!
Oh no! Oh no, I know.
I'm sorry too, Cornelia.
Destroy me.
I must try and control the surge of energy the Master's programmed. Loka!
On your feet, all of you! So much for Loga.
Deception. Another deception. Logar is everywhere. He cares for the faithful.
Perhaps that's why he sent a ship from trial. Perhaps he wants you to live.
Now that's what I call a real
I think
space.
that's a decent idea. Just think the
No good to
execution
us.
could have been a lot
TARDIS
better.
is the only way out of here.
But I appreciate the effort. And I do like that actor in this story. So, hey, he's getting tall again. The TARDIS! Quick, get
Well done,
inside.
Turlo. Quickly into the TARDIS.
Well, that isn't great.
Just show mercy to your own.
Are you okay?
Yes, of course. I'm all right.
My exile has been rescinded.
I'm pleased for you.
Doctor,
I shall miss you.
I don't want to go, Doctor. I've learned a lot from you. But I have to go back to trial. It's my home.
Better to go back while you're a bit of a hero, eh?
Look after him, won't you? He gets into the most terrible trouble.
What,
Well, I should get you home.
oh, must you?
Oh, yes. Your friends will be worried.
It's funny, but just before I met you, I was saying I wanted to travel, and I've still got 3 months of my vacation left.
And you want to travel with me?
Is that an invitation?
Actually, it was a question. 3 months, you say?
That's right.
All right. Why not?
Oh!
Welcome aboard, Perry.
I like the end of Smith and Jones, like that. And that was Planet of Fire. And that indeed was Planet of Fire. That's the end of that story. Turner has officially left after his exile has been redeemed. And now Perry is now with the Doctor. So that's her first story and Turlo's last story. So a very eventful, an event-packed episode in terms of the Doctor Who history and lore, because I'm seeing one companion leave and another one enter. And I think that was I did like that last scene. It was nice, even though I don't know the full history between the two characters, the Doctor and Turlo. I just thought it was nice. I thought it was a nice end within, out of context with the rest of their stories and their arcs and all that. I think it was a nice end. It was a nice end to a companion who, on surface, from my first watch, didn't really engage me that much, but I've got other stories to watch with him, I am sure. We can see how he developed before his exit here. And the Doctor in this episode was interesting. That last bit there with the Master burning alive, we know he survived since, Mark of the Rani exists. I'm assuming that's actually his next story. I'm assuming, because I know that the next episode after this would be Caves of Androzani, and then next season would be season 22, which I watched, and the Mark of the Rani. So So yeah, I've seen his 2 most recent appearances within this sort of era of the show. I've seen both of his appearances in short space of time. So obviously I know what happens next with the Master after this episode story. But the Doctor in that last bit with the Master was very interesting, and I'm assuming that sort of mindset leads in to Caves of Androzani. I'm assuming. So it will be interesting when I eventually get to Caves of Androzani, which I'm very looking forward to getting to there at one point. And I think that I'm interested to see what they do with the Doctor, because Pete Davidson doesn't really engage me as a character, but I do think that he could have the potential to in a really, really, really good story. I think a little bit better than Earthshock. I would say he's a story that really needs to get me engaged with Pete Davidson's Doctor, because he's fine. He's not bad at all. A very decent actor. Just think he needs something that really pushes not only the character but the actor to the limit, to really make a real impact on the story and leave something for you to really dissect. In this story, I think it was just fine. The story of the actual plot of this story, I think, was interesting. The whole religion aspect of it and people's beliefs. Kind of similar in that regard to Impossible Planet and Satan Pit, with the whole religious beliefs and beliefs of other people, that kind of idea. I think though there in series 2 it's executed better. I think that's why that makes that episode so great. Not only is it exciting, scary and fun to watch, it's the religious aspect to it that makes it a lot more interesting to watch, because there's no real right answer. It's the Doctor's belief and other people's belief and the belief of the devil and stuff like that. This one's just more religious sort of beliefs in Logar, is what this whole thing was. In the end was Logar is everywhere. It's within people who actually believe in it, rather it actually being something real, you know? So I just think the execution could have been a lot better, I think. And that is to do, I think, with the slow pace of this story. I think it's very... especially parts 1 and 2. I think the pacing is fine, but it was very slow to begin with. And then it did quite accelerate quickly when the Master came into it from the end of part 2. So this is where it really started to pick up. But I think it was fun. I think I could have wanted more Master and Doctor interaction. That's really what I'm wanting, because I really love the interactions between the Doctor and the Master a lot in every incarnation I've seen. And that does include John Sim, because I like John Sim's Master. I love the interaction between him and David Tennant in a lot of their stories together. Especially like their conversations in End of Time, for example. Like in part 2 specifically, the beginning of that, when they talk about Gallifrey, like I mentioned before. With this Master, I just feel like he's too camp. I really think the campiness, while I love camp, and I love if it's within the whole tone of the story, with this, it feels like it's lessering the Master, that is not really pushing him to really be that in-depth character that has so much history behind it. Because with this, it seems like he's more of a... like I mentioned this a lot in this episode. Twisty mustache kind of villain. And it really is a shame, because I want more. I want more than surface level villain. You know? Something with more nuance, I guess. Like, he's not a bad actor, but I'm assuming when I get to stuff like Roger Delgado's Master, when I get to Delgado's Master, I feel like that will be when the Master will click for me properly. Even though I love John Sims' Master, I feel like that Delgado is the one that's going to really click for me with this character. So I'm looking forward to getting a John Pertwee story with a Master and see how that goes. So yeah, and the side characters I did like. Malcolm, after he died, he was still alive. He didn't do anything else in the story. He literally, even though they said he was still alive, and even when he came back to life, he didn't really do anything, really. So I think he was a character that I think had a lot of potential, but they didn't really do anything with him. Because I think what they could have done is this sort of struggle of being the chosen one and him not really coming to the right terms. Not the right terms. I guess not really adapting to the power he has, because I feel like that's what they set up in part 1, you know? And I feel like that's a real shame. But other side characters, I think that the guy with the stash, I think, was a very good actor in both parts 2 and this one in particular. I think he does a really good job. And then all the other characters that I can't remember the names of the characters off the top of my head, thought they were all fine. I think the one who was in the silver suit was a bit odd how much they focused on him, especially in this part. Not sure why. But yes, I'm going to give this now a rating. I'm not sure what to give this, because I think this episode is fine, but I don't think it really got me. I feel like the story had a lot of potential, and there were some good concepts in here. I just think the execution of it wasn't great. I don't think the dialogue and the writing was that bad, but I feel like it just could have been more. I think it's very base level. It's a very base level story that had a lot of potential, I feel like, and it doesn't really get there. And I think the Master's villainless, and I think the Master's like twirly mustache villain aspect of this story really holds it down for me, because I think it's out of tone with the rest of the story. I feel like, especially with the miniature Master. As funny as that is, it's a big tonal whiplash, I think, because it's meant to be laughed at in a sense. It is. That's absolutely what the intention was, but I feel like this story was more serious than that, you know? Especially with that end with the Master seemingly dying, even though we know he doesn't. It's that thing where we're meant to think that something bad has happened to him, but it's that tonal whiplash of that miniature Master that really brings it down, you know? So I'm going to give this a 5.5 out of 10 because I liked Mark of the Rani more, and that was a story that I felt that had more potential as well, like this story. But I feel like the interactions between the Doctor, the Rani, and the Master was much better than it was the Doctor and the Master interactions in this story. And I don't think this is a bad story. I just think this story has a lot of potential. It had a lot of potential, but it just didn't get there. The execution was fine, but it just could have been so much more. And it's a real shame because I keep saying it, but I felt this story had a lot of potential. It just doesn't get there, you know? It doesn't get there. And I might be a bit harsh on it. Because I guarantee there are people that do like this story, and I can totally see why. I just think that it didn't get there. It didn't get to the peak of what it could have done with the Master and the Doctor, and also the religious beliefs aspect of it. I think it just could have been more, you know? I think it could have got there. So yeah, 5.5 out of 10. I think is not a terrible episode by any means, but it just doesn't get there. It doesn't get to the potential that it absolutely had. And I enjoyed Mark of the Rani more to this, but they're on similar levels. I just preferred Mark of the Rani. So yeah, that is Planet of Fire. So now, let's see what story you get next. So we had just watched Planet of Fire. So now we've had 2 Peter Davison stories in a row. Earthshock and Planet of Fire. So we have not had a first Doctor story. We've not had a third Doctor story or a fourth Doctor story. So I'm hoping it's either a John Pertwee or Tom Baker. I'm really hoping possibly more of a Tom Baker one, because I really, really want to get into his Doctor more, because I've only seen one story of his before this whole series began, which was Genesis of the Daleks. But if that comes up, I'm totally going to watch it. I just want it to be a good Tom Baker story, like generally. So, drum roll, we get Destiny of the Daleks. It's a Tom Baker story. I got it right on the money. 4 episodes starring Tom Baker as the Doctor. First broadcasted on September the 1st, 1979, and then to the end of September. Yeah. So, Destiny of the Daleks. I've not heard much about this story. I've heard about Genesis of the Daleks, Power of the Daleks, Remembrance of the Daleks, but not Destiny of the Daleks. So it could be a pretty... It has potential to be, I think, because I haven't heard of this story a lot, because of Genesis, Remembrance, and Power. I'm worried. I'm a bit worried. But I could be reading way too much into what I actually know about classic Doctor Who. And it might be a good story, but we don't know. We have to find out next time. So, join me next time for my first Tom Baker story, Destiny of the Daleks. I'll see you then.